Now, it's not that Congressman Kasich worked on Wall Street, and it's not that Congressman Kasich idolized Wall Street. That's not what concerns me. What concerns me most is that Congressman Kasich has represented Wall Street his entire political life. He's Wall Street to the core. A man becomes his attentions, a philosopher once wrote, and Congressman Kasich's attentions are focused on the notion that Wall Street has the answers. Let me ask you all a question. Should China have received special trade status?
No!
Not if your concern is for the people of Ohio, they shouldn't have. Not if your priority is creating fair trade agreements. But you know, Wall Street said yes, and Congressman Kasich voted yes, because there's money to be made by someone somewhere else. And in all of that greed, 91,000 Ohio jobs were lost. Another question. Should NAFTA have been approved and expanded?
No!
Well, not if your concern is making sure that trade agreements don't lower our standard of living. Not if your concern is the spread of workplaces with low wages and lax environmental standards. But you know, Wall Street said yes, and Congressman Kasich voted yes, because there's someone out there somewhere who's trying to make money. And in all of that greed, 50,000 Ohio jobs were lost. A third question. Should we throw away the support system for workers whose jobs are shipped overseas?
No!
Not if we value the American dream, we shouldn't. Not if we value Americans. But Wall Street doesn't care. And apparently Congressman Kasich doesn't care either. Perhaps that's why he proposed ending the Federal Trade Adjustment Assistance Program that provides job training and job search assistance to people who've lost their jobs to imports. You know, folks, his votes are his values. And that's why it's so important for the people of Ohio to understand Congressman Kasich's priorities. Because if he wants to sell himself to special interests, that's his business. But if he wants to sell the state of Ohio to special interests, that's our business. You look at his record, and it's clear. There's not one bit of difference to him whether Ohio companies are exporting products or exporting jobs. And now he wants to run government, he says, more like a corporation. In fact, he says that he wants corporations to do nearly everything that government does today. He says if a service is listed in the phone book, then government shouldn't do it. Now, in response to that, I would say to Congressman Kasich, here's a lesson they don't teach on Wall Street. Not everything has a dollar sign on it. I say to you, there's a difference between Ohio values and Wall Street values. On Wall Street, they look down from their office towers and they see winners and losers. But in Ohio, we look out and we see a state filled with people concerned about their families and their communities. People willing to work in common purpose for the common good. Now, I didn't learn my values from Wall Street. I didn't learn my values from a bankrupt investment bank. I didn't learn my values from modern-day robber barons. I learned my values on a little dirt road in southern Ohio called Duck Run. I learned my values from my father, the hardest working man I've ever known. I learned my values from my mother, the kindest, most giving and generous person you could ever imagine. You know, there weren't a lot of luxuries on Duck Run. When I was young, we didn't have a television. We didn't have indoor plumbing. What we did have were 11 people to feed on a steelworker's salary. But my mother, she never felt sorry for herself or for her children. She never once asked why struggle was our constant companion. And through it all, she saw what really mattered. In fact, the best advice I was ever given came from my mother. She said, "Love your family and look out for each other, always." And not for one moment have I forgotten that. Not in my life and not in my life's work. Because in this great Ohio family of ours, we look out for each other. Those are my Ohio values. Those are our Ohio values. In Ohio, we value our children. We now have comprehensive education reform that strengthens our schools and enables our young people to graduate ready to thrive in their lives and in their careers. The Education Commission of the States hailed our plan as the most innovative in the country, giving us their award for bold, courageous, and nonpartisan leadership in education reform. Education Week examined 150 indicators of school quality across the 50 states. And when they tallied their results, Ohio schools stood first in the Midwest and fifth in the nation. I'm committed to our public schools because there isn't anything more important to Ohio's prosperity than having an outstanding school system. In Ohio, we value a strong middle class. One of the things that I am most proud of is that today we have 65,591 more Ohioans enrolled in our public colleges and universities than we had before I took office. And more than 140,000 Ohioans have received job training from the state in the last 3 years. And we are investing in jobs that can't be outsourced. In fact, Ohio is one of the first states in the nation to fight the global economic downturn with targeted investments in energy, logistics, and public works. In Ohio, we value our senior citizens. Expanding the homestead property tax exemption was a central part of my first budget, and it has cut property taxes for seniors an average of $400 per year. Of course, that's not how they see things on Wall Street. Affordable college loans are essential to middle-class families and to families scratching for a foothold in the middle class. But Congressman Kasich voted no several times. Raising the minimum wage is a matter of basic fairness, a matter of making work pay. And Congressman Kasich voted no. Think of this. In 2008, the 1 year Congressman Kasich has revealed his income, he made well more than $1 million.